when we're stuck, it's a good thing. That means we're trying. You can't be stuck if you're not trying. I'm in 200 cities a year, and I've been doing this for so many years. And the first time I did it, maybe 10 years ago, it was because literally, it's probably attuned to why I'm even here today. Because my mom passed yesterday, actually, and I just don't like wasting time. And funeral's tomorrow, and I was like, I have a choice. I could stay at home and let my thoughts, which are very scary at times, take over, or I can go help people, which is what my mom raised me to do. And so 10 years ago or so, I was sitting there going, there's nobody around at 7 to 8 a.m. in the morning. It's like I wake up early, so I was done my workout and meditation, all these things. Why don't I just send a message out saying, meet me for an hour and I'll help you. I'll either answer questions or introduce you, but I don't want to waste my value. And I just threw it out there, and 2 people showed up. I usually stay at like the Home to Suites or something like that, free breakfast. And it was awesome. It was so inspiring for me, and that I was able to help people just by throwing out a DM or whatever we did. And what happened is it kept growing and growing. And these have gotten to a few hundred people. I know Simon's been, depends on where I do them. And the coolest thing about it was I found it to be the best research I could do, because not only was I helping people, but I had a unique ability, like Napoleon Hill, who I'm the chairman of the Napoleon Hill Institute, to like listen for. Thank you. Yeah, it's my legacy. But I can, all around the world, when I'm in Vietnam, I hear what questions they're asking. When I was in Charlotte, I heard the questions they're asking. Here in San Francisco, what they're asking as well. And it's a very valuable thing to know what people are listening for, especially when I love to do research. So if I can find clues and patterns, and I can do research and come up with better answers and then post those up so it resonates with more people and helps more people on my mission of making a lot of money, helping a lot of people, and having a lot of fun. And that's the skill set that I want to empower people with, how to make a lot of money, to help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun doing it and enjoying it. So I want to thank you all for showing up. It doesn't work unless you ask questions, although I can make it work if you don't ask questions. I'll just prolong the answers and have Nick ask a question. And this will grow as we go. So thank you guys for showing up. Who has the first question? 0 to 1's harder than 1 to 100. I know Nick will get it going, and then don't chase me upstairs saying, hold on, I got a question. What's your name? Let everyone know. Yes. Good to see you again.
He let me in.
I heard you. It's just so we can capture.
It's recording, not amplifying.
So I heard your speech at the Aspire event about a year ago.
In Santa Clara? Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was my birthday with Joe Montana.
You happy birthday.
Yeah.
I was watching the videos again
That was the last time I decided to do the closing keynote. And because I do the Diamond Lunch, which is more intimate in a different type of crowd. But I will tell you this, David Meltzer does not draw like David Goggins. Not as many people hung out till 7:30 at night. It was still crowded, but it was a big arena.
I think that your speech was kind of like a synthesis of this book, wasn't it?
Yes.
I was blown away by that, and thank you for that. My question is, how did you, the Napoleon Hill Institute is different than the foundation?
Yeah, so we donate the money to the foundation. The Institute is for profit, and it is to proliferate the seminal personal development information of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, Outwitting the Devil, How to Sell Through Life. So it is a profitable institute, and we are going to be establishing them all across the world in order to facilitate more people really utilizing the content, where the foundation is for charity. And so a percentage of everything the Institute earns goes to the foundation.
Wow, that's amazing, because I've actually been, for a while, been very captivated with Napoleon Hill's work. I think his PMA course.
Yes.
That has all 17 principles.
Laws of Success.
Correct. Wow.
Yeah, tell me. Have you read Outwitting the Devil?
I have not.
So it's the hidden secret of Napoleon Hill, the best work that he's ever done to me and many people that are involved. If you haven't listened or read Outwitting the Devil, you're missing out. it's God's work.
Wow. So highly inspired.
Yeah, very much so.
No, I think so. I'm kind of whenever I go back to like just definiteness of purpose.
Yes.
And all the
and control of impulse. They go hand in hand, right? If you have a definite purpose, you're going to have to control your impulse. And people accelerate in the wrong direction because they don't have a definite purpose or they can't control their impulse. And so a lot of people have definite purpose, but that personality trait will cause you to have uh, a compulsive. If you have definite purpose, you usually are compulsive, and that will create a reaction, this control of impulse that's necessary, complementing your definite purpose. So very important to know both.
Right. And so I guess he said in one of his speeches, I'm sure you've heard the lectures.
Yes.
And there's like, he talks about each principle, right? And he said at one point, he goes that the big three are the first three: definiteness of purpose, the mastermind principle, and applied faith. He goes, why do we need another 14? He goes, just to reinforce the first three.
Yeah.
Is something that that's what I think he said. And I've been just whenever I go back to the first one, it's like, wow, okay, I was missing this. And so, well, I like how this is really quite a map for definiteness of purpose.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting because when I wrote, that's my first book, and my latest book is going to Simon Schuster distributing in the fall, called "Don't Do Business with Dicks," and not the sporting goods.
Yep.
But I went to Napoleon Hill Foundation when I was writing that book, and Sharon Lecter, Greg Reed, and others helped me in that genre because I saw it as you do when I wrote it. In fact, I wrote it without section 1, and section 1 is my personal journey. So I went there and I wrote these 7 principles with 4 key elements in order to manifest everything you desire in life and business. And something came through me to say that at that time, nobody really knew. I was Warren Moon's guy. I figured Warren Moon's name would get more attraction than mine on the cover. And he wrote the foreword for me for that purpose. But I decided, you know what? I think this will really mean something if I tell the truth about me. And I will tell you, to this day, I've written a lot of things. That section 1 is still the most difficult and most rewarding thing I've ever written, because it taught me the lesson of humility and vulnerability. And it's easy to write a book and promote yourself. And there's a difference in branding between authentic and essence. And what that book represented to me was you can be authentic. Howard Stern is authentic to his brand. When you listen to him, he's very authentic to his brand, but that's not his essence. He's nothing in real life. Howard Stern's not like the Howard Stern that is authentic to his brand on the radio and on Sirius XM. But he's consistently authentic about being, that shock jock, the original OG of what he does. But I promise you, his family would not tell you that's authentic Howard Stern. That's his essence is different.
Like a persona to a brand versus what he's really like
with his frequency. And so I have learned over now almost 13 years that I would rather portray my essence than my authentic self, like authentic brand. I don't worry anymore about what people or what I want people to think I am. I would rather, there's a huge energy gap today between, especially for kids that are the ones that are our age, between I am, my essence, this is who I am. And you can unsubscribe to me if you don't like who I am, that's cool. But I'm not going to create an energy gap between who I am and who I want people to think I am. And you're hearing it more and more, and you'll keep on hearing it more and more people are figuring it out, that we now, through the total addressable community and the awareness that people have, we actually feel more comfortable being ourselves because we have an opportunity. Unlike when I was young, if I lived in a town of 300,000 people and I had the views that I had today, I would have very few friends, most likely, unless it was some kind of weird circumstance. And so you had to worry about what people think you were, or else you wouldn't have a social life. And We don't have that anymore. And there's good and bad to everything. So behaviors are good and bad. So I think it's important today to feel free and say, here's who I am. And there's billions of people, and percentage of some of them are going to subscribe to me, some are going to unsubscribe to me. And if I stay consistent, I'm going to be helping more and more of those people on both sides. Beautiful. Yeah, of course. Next question, Brenda.
So Brenda Dennis, first of all, thank you.
Thank you for
Very
coming.
inspirational, absolutely. So two things. First of all, I have read the book, read it on the plane.
Wow.
It's got purple marker all over it. So purple marker. But I appreciated the first chapter, the authenticity that you put out there. And I think that it resonates with a lot, to be able to say, I've fallen down and I've learned from it. So I thought that was very good. The other observation, if I may make.
Please,
So I
please.
just started hearing about you probably a month ago. And in that time, the machine that you have, the small but mighty machine that you have, I was so impressed with the living, the gratitude of giving. It's not just for those that have, known, it's not just a thing you say.
Right, it's not my motto.
So here's my experience. So the very first thing I saw was an invite to come to dinner. Next thing, come on to our community event. Next thing, let me send you a book. Next thing, get another little book in the mail. All these little things. Most people are out there saying, buy my book, buy my book. So I just thought that was really good. And it was just open dialogue. And then the fact that you have so much content now with your podcasts and things and your lives, fantastic. And so I'll hop on them and you may see a small group of people or you see many, many people. So thank you for what you're doing. I think it's reaching a ton of people. Two questions.
Yep.
One is for the younger generation. So you just got done talking about the importance of them. They got to find their way. I'm going to say younger generation, but I think all of us have hit those journeys. When you're on that motion of trying to figure out what is it that I want to do, you've had these transitions in your life. How did you best approach those?
I approach it completely different today than I did when I was young. So when I was young, I prioritized how much money I could make off of the activities that I had. So I had this definite purpose that was misaligned with probably what was best for me. And so I had certain lessons I needed to learn to get to where I am today. So what I believe today and what I teach today is about understanding circumstances and having a relationship with circumstances. And the younger we are at understanding just our non-negotiable behavior, and I think it's easier for the new generation because the outcomes change so fast. There was, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but in my opinion, when I went to college and was graduating college, when I made a decision of what I wanted to be, that was a lifetime choice. I don't think any kid in college right now thinks that if they tell their mom, I want to be this, that that's their lifetime choice. But it certainly was when I was in college. That was a big decision to make. And so today, I try to get people to say, let's start with creating non-negotiable behavior according to circumstance. What does that mean? We need behavior to align with where we want to be or think we want to be. So I can say, I think I want to be a lawyer, or I think I want to go to law school, or I think I want to be an engineer, or I think I want to do this. And then from that, what am I going to make non-circumstantial in my life and apply time to it? So the secret sauce of what I learned in my journey of making all these mistakes was, what if I took my number one thing that has the most impact on my life? Sleep. Everybody does it. Not everybody does it well, but everybody does it. On average, 8 hours a day. A third of your life, 26 years of your life, will be spent sleeping, either sleeping well, sleeping not well, or trying to sleep for 26 years of your entire existence. And so I said to myself, that shouldn't be circumstantial. This should be the number one priority for me because it's a third of my life and nothing else represents a third of my life that I can practice, get mentorship, and get better at. And so I took sleep and I said, that's my first non-negotiable. Then I said, my second will be my health. Now, sleep does attribute and contribute to my health, but I need to make it non-circumstantial. So that anything that's non-circumstantial means that 7 days a week, no matter what the weather is, what happens on the airplanes, wherever the mortgage rates are, no matter what, I'm spending a minimum of an hour on my health. Because I know how time aggregates, accelerates, and compounds. So now I'm going to be really healthy. Then I went to family, to faith, to finance, to studying relativity and time, and it equals about 11 and a half total hours. 7 hours of sleep for me, and approximately 3.5, 4.5 hours of other non-negotiable behavior. But one of the things besides the acceleration, aggregation, and compounding of outcomes that occurs is that there is actually an ease about it because I don't have to think about the future. I don't have to consider the uncertain. I can focus on the certainty of self, the certainty inside of me, and allow whatever happens, the temperatures and the mortgage rates and the in-laws, whatever circumstances, my mom passing, that is not going to impact 11 and a half hours of my day. Now, it is going to impact how I prioritize the rest of the activity, which is all awake time. 12 and a half, 13 and a half hours of my day is circumstantial in this nature. And that's what most people survive on, is trying to negotiate the circumstances of the day. And now that's when Covey and Carnegie and Napoleon Hill and all these guys come into play of how am I prioritizing the non-negotiable, the negotiable behavior, the circumstantial behavior. But it gives you such a calm to know that 90% of my success, my happiness, my enjoyment, 90% of the exponentiality in my life is going to come from what's non-circumstantial. So I actually don't give a shit what I choose on the other side. It's going to create subtleties of success. But when my mom died yesterday, I knew when I woke up this morning that I was going to get my workout in. I knew I was going to sleep. I knew I was going to study faith, my time, the relativity that I study. I was going to check my bank accounts, all the things that I did. Then I was going to make decisions about the circumstances of the day. And the top circumstance of the day was my mom passed, and I had to make a decision whether I want to be here or sitting at home, because I'm going to be home tonight and then prioritize tomorrow what I need to do and go through the process. But I made the choice consciously to be here, to be better for me, because of what I want, not what other people think, not what's missing, not what I don't have. But I think that's important. But my life's so easy, not dis-easy, because I'm really, the majority of my progress is created by what's non-negotiable in my life. It's non-circumstantial. It does not matter. I'm going to get my sleep no matter where and what and how, and I'm going to be healthy, and I'm going to study faith and finance and all in relativity and time, and that's going to progress me exponentially towards where I think I want to be. And then it also allows me every day to change my mind in a divine direction. So I can say I want to be a doctor today. I can say that. But my non-negotiables are not going to change. I'm still going to sleep, study my finance, whatever. I may just start prioritizing taking bio or going whatever. Ironically, I made that a priority before my mom passed. And before she passed by about 2 weeks, I got an honorary doctorate. So
there you go.
see, there's different ways to do it to appease her. So I think it's really important. And these are simple things to separate for our kids. And I ask my kids, what's non-negotiable to you? I have a 14-year-old, and I have him on non-negotiables. And it's his sleep, and it's his workouts, his health. He also has, homework that he's put as a non-negotiable, because I simply told him, I said, I've been through a lot of school myself, and I have other kids and family members, Harvard, Penn, Columbia, graduate degrees. And I said, but I've never met one kid that studies 15 minutes a day and doesn't get an A. I've met a ton of people, including me, who studied 15 hours on Sunday and didn't get an A. 15 minutes a day is much easier, and it works every time. So what do we want to study 15 minutes a day? What's important to you? What do you like? Not what I like. And you can change your mind tomorrow, but I want you to commit to studying something academic, a minimum of 15 minutes a day. And that's why you get straight A's.
the other
Second
piece,
question,
well,
yeah.
and then I'll hand it off, so get your questions ready, is,
Brenda's
you know,
great.
when you think about this idea, you talk about roadblocks, detours in the line.
Interference.
Some people really struggle with those. They think it's the end of the road, but it's not. It's a decision point. At that point in time, you talk also about giving yourself grace and forgiveness about the past, being able to move on and look forward. I find that's where a lot of people get stuck.
Yes.
Advice on how to help people kind of get over that hump?
Yeah, well, it's wisdom. So when we're stuck, it's a good thing. That means we're trying. You can't be stuck if you're not trying. So, for example, if I locked you all into this room and nobody was trying to get out, you wouldn't know you were locked in the room. You wouldn't feel stuck at all. It's not till you try to get out of the room. So it's a good thing that you feel stuck. And then as far as understanding this idea, we give meaning to everything that we see. So we have to start teaching people the wisdom of giving the meaning aligned with where you want to be or better, not a meaning that's interfering. Because the only thing that's going to limit you from getting to where you want to be or better or making you feel stuck is the meaning you give the past. Failures, setbacks, mistakes, hurdles, obstacles, voids, shortages, defining moments, historical relevances. If you give it a meaning that's not aligned, that interferes with where you want to be or better, it's going to limit you. And that's the biggest difficulty that people have. Now, I believe the other side's faith. And I try my best to simplify faith for people. But when you feel stuck or a detour occurs in your life, a challenge, a setback, a struggle, faith is that which tells me that I'm humble. I don't know what I don't know. I don't understand how losing everything in what world could losing everything, including my mom's house, be the biggest promotion, protection, love, and perfection in my life. At the time, that's real faith. I didn't have real faith at that time. I felt completely punished, but I got there fast. So it's wisdom and faith that there's something bigger than you. So take this, and this is a new nuance of what I'm teaching in faith. Okay, no matter what religion, philosophy, theory, or spirituality you believe in, I'm going to use the word God. You replace it with whatever you want. God is bigger than me, my God, bigger than me, and is omniscient. That means all knowing and all powerful. So God is bigger than me, knows everything, and is all powerful, and loves me, protects me, promotes me, and perfects me more than my mom. So, in the context of where do I seek my wisdom and why is faith important? Well, I should be seeking my wisdom not from everybody else, but from somebody that knows everything, even though I don't. And so I'm constantly seeing how am I interfering with all that information that's available to me and all that power, energy that's available to me. And so I've shifted that paradigm through wisdom and faith will shorten the distance of resistance that we create in feeling stuck. And so my first step when I feel stuck is what wisdom do I need and what faith do I need in order to be protected, promoted, loved, and perfected? And the first step to me is how am I reacting to fear? Because that's the interference. Not what am I afraid of? How am I reacting? What meaning am I giving to the fear? Because two things are guaranteed outside of us every day: fear and struggle. You don't have a choice to be afraid. It is inherent in human nature. You'll be afraid every day, no matter how much money you have, no matter how healthy your family is, you will be afraid every day and you will have struggle. The difference is knowing we don't have a choice to have pain in our life, we do have a choice of how long we're going to struggle during the day. How much of your 24 hours today do you want to struggle? It's up to you by the meaning you give it. And so we shorten that distance of struggle, of resistance, by seeking wisdom and having faith that we don't know or understand how that evidence that is appearing is not the evidence that says we're going to get to where we want to be. I always say there's no evidence or contrary evidence to where I want to be or better. I better call on faith in order to get me to where I want to be or better. Marianne.
Well, thank
Welcome.
you, David. Thank you.
I never know what
Well,
city
you're
you're
one
from.
of my
He came in from
non-negotiables,
Vegas.
so
Was
don't know
Simon?
that.
Was Simon on your plane in Vegas?
I don't know. Were you 5:30 this morning?
Yes, I was.
Oh, I could have gave you a ride here. Sorry, I didn't get a ride back tonight. I'm here. So first of all, I want to say thank you because those non-negotiables are really working and you're one of them because it's the repetitiveness. So what I want to say is that I'm feeling unstuck finally, right?
Good.
And it's not like that finally, though. There was dips that I'm going in and out, and staying consistent's been that. Though I want to say, like, becoming a full-time consultant, is it okay to do multiple things and doing them in an expert way?
Absolutely. And I use Elon Musk as my example. People limit themselves and say, I need to have definite purpose. That doesn't mean definite purpose on one thing. What you need to do is prioritize your time according to what's important to you. I have multiple businesses, multiple streams of income, multiple activities every single day beyond my non-negotiable behaviors. And the reason I can do that is that I am very concise with the amount of time according to the circumstances. Notice when I listed out my non-negotiables, nowhere in there did it say speaking, coaching, writing books, podcasts, movies, TVs, meetups, holding courts, VIP dinners, and so on. It didn't say any of that. It said health, family, sleep, study my finance for a minimum of 10 minutes, which is my accounts, just to know where I'm at, faith. But I will promise you, if you add up all the businesses and activities you have in business or consulting, that mine would probably equal all of yours combined. And Elon Musk would equal more than, I mean, I'm even amazed, and I'm on the same line of thought. Like, I don't know how he can run that many billion-dollar businesses and our government. I honestly, like, I'm thinking, shit, I need to learn from him even more. So I know what he does, though. He does what I do, is he applies time according to what's important to him and the circumstances of each day, and he gives his meaning to his past aligned with where he wants to be or better. And so he's able to facilitate via time as much as he can. And so I don't believe you have to have one business.
Okay, great. Last thing I want to say is I incorporated now.
I hope it's not the last thing. I hope you have many things to say.
Oh, I do. You know, I so the next question was, I added in definitely study. That wasn't part of my regimen, even though I was.
And how do you define study?
Well, now, like.
Want me to define it
Yes,
for how I do?
Well,
Because it's a really important word to me. Remember I told you I make my son study for a minimum.
Integration now instead of balance.
Yeah, good. Or harmony instead of balance is another good one. Integration, harmony. Studying to me is paying attention to and giving intention to a subject matter, topic, or expertise. So intention would be doing, saying, thinking, feeling, and believing in what I'm focused in on. So I'm integrating, harmonizing all of the 5 levels of intention to do, say, think, feel, and believe. What I am that's studying, because what I pay attention and give intention to equals the coincidences, the coinciding consequences, results, outcomes in my life.
And like you said, so it was think. What were those 3 things?
Do, say, think,
Okay.
feel, and believe.
Yeah, because the saying is the big one for me. That I notice is the language, right?
Yeah.
Where it come from, and I can hear it in other people. I wasn't hearing it in myself, and now since I've been practicing, I hear it. So.
And it's really important, right? The words are definite in their purpose. And a lot of times, and it's not just conscious words. One of the things that has helped me over the years is understand the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind hosts about 40,000 of the same thoughts. And the only way they change is through consistent behavior in your cellular memory, which is daily. It forgets every day. That's why it starts the process after 21 days, not guaranteed, determined upon your subconscious and your unconscious competency. That's why you can't just stop drinking for 21 days and not say that you're going to want to drink. It doesn't change the habit because it's probably genetically and energetically inherited, also reinforced by your subconscious. But remember this about your subconscious, beyond your quantum being, your unconscious competencies, energetic and genetic inheritances that are dictated by your actual DNA, a code that's coded into you. But the subconscious is, for me, really interesting because it's so repetitive in nature. Last question. All right.
Okay.
I got the 5.
All right. I feel for her. I was there, and I'm shifting, right? And in that shift, what you've taught
And this is what I'm
me.
going to talk about up there, by the way. That's why I didn't go too deep. I'm going to talk about what you're dealing with up there. But go ahead.
So anyway, gratitude, right? Like seeing what's actually in front of me and like really being grateful. That has made like a huge shift in my life, first of all, noticing that instead of being on the other side.
So another way to put that is some people don't realize all that they're given, because it takes gratitude and forgiveness to identify all that we're given. So every text, and I'll speak about this up there, the more we give, the more we're given, only if, whether there's evidence or not, or the evidence is contrary to it, only if we have gratitude and forgiveness can we find the light, the love, and the lessons in a situation that other people are like, dude, you're screwed. You're punished. No, actually, I've been given this, that, and the other. But go ahead.
So we could talk forever.
Yeah.
So, one thing that keeps coming up, and especially in your space, is quantum leap. Like, can you speak into that a little bit?
Yeah.
And what that actually is?
So I'm actually a quantum healer trained, as some of my friends. So the easiest and simplest way to understand quantum is different movies that we now see, because it was very difficult to understand it in the theoretical, reading physics books, because there was formulas, not movies, to show us what quantum meant. Quantum is everything in one. Point A and point B are connected. So when I trace calligraphies from Master Shah on my phone that also exists in my home, I'm tracing the calligraphies, which is a field of energy that is quantum in its nature, that although it's on my phone, and even though it's a picture of that which exists in my home, the energy is quantum, it's all one. And so you have to change the way you look at things in a quantum way compared to a pragmatic 2D, 3D, 4D, or 5D way. So the multiverse. And part of the problem, again, is infinite in itself, is that we can't even fathom that in an infinite world, every single thing that we do could create a whole nother world. It's just so hard for us to understand.
No.
And that same, so there's, a trillion David Meltzers out there living different lives in a consciousness that's infinite, but in this brain to the mind, like time to a clock, in this circumstance, so when we're leaping quantum, we're able to shift to understanding we have the power to what? Give meaning to everything we see. And the real trick, and then we'll just, if you don't mind, take a picture, all of us. Here's what bothered me when I started down this journey. The feeling like this life doesn't matter. Because it's so insignificant. It's so insignificant when you understand quantum infinite time. And so what made it matter to me was the rules of being human, that the one thing that's not quantum is my body and the lessons. So if I derive meaning from this life, that I'm given a body, so I want to do the most with my body. I want to make sure I work it out and feed it and drink it right and sleep it right and hang out with the right people and touch it right and touch other people's bodies right. But also I'm just here to learn lessons. So if that becomes my meaning, then I can really enjoy being human and be like, cool, I'm just keep learning all these lessons. And then when things that used to seem so difficult and, unbelievably punishing, I'm saying, fuck, it's another lesson. Literally, like, okay, what am I supposed to learn? This is cool. And it does become a little gamified, I have to admit. But the nice thing is you're going to forget every lesson you ever learned and you have the power to remember it. I'm going to repeat that because there's a lot of power in life when you realize I'm going to forget every single lesson I ever learned, but I have the power to remember it. And that's why gratitude to me is so huge, because I know to say thank you. I know to be grateful. I know it's the most powerful thing in the human experience, gratitude, and I forget it all the time. I forget it because I react to fear and I don't act graciously or in forgiveness. I lose my faith and I lose my wisdom. I forget it all. And how quickly can I remember it, remind it, and recollect it? What do you think of remembering, reminding, and recollecting too? The infinite, the omniscient, the all-powerful. Makes it easier if we call it God or source. If you think of a source, Jesus, Muhammad, Joseph Smith, Buddha, whatever you believe a source is, what do you think you are? You're a resource. So what are you doing to interfere with your source so that you're a weaker resource? I'm a resource, you're a resource.
Are you asking me?
No, I know the answer.